3M employees, welcome. Thanks for watching. I'm Sam, and in just a minute we'll be joined by Wesley Boudreau, who is one of our senior advisors here at the Retirement Group, and he's going to be answering some of the most frequently asked questions we've been receiving from other 3M employees regarding 401k mistakes, rising healthcare costs, and other things. Before Wesley comes on, though, I'd like to quickly remind you that we are not affiliated nor endorsed by 3M. The Retirement Group is a completely independent group of financial advisors. And if you happen to see any YouTube cards popping up on your screen as you watch this video, feel free to give those a quick click. They're going to guide you to several different resources that we have to offer, one of which may just be a link to book an appointment to speak with Wesley directly about your specific concerns or situation after this video has ended. So take advantage of that. And without further ado, let's bring on Wesley to get started. Hi, Wesley.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Wesley Boudreau, one of the financial advisors here at the Retirement Group. Today we're going to go through a quick little Q&A session. We've gathered a couple of questions we've been getting for the last couple weeks or so. Thought it might be good to go ahead and put this out there in case some of you have the same questions. Obviously, it's not going to cover every question everybody's got, so if you do have some additional questions, feel free to give us a call and we can dig into your own situation as well. A quick reminder though, the Retirement Group, we are not employed by your specific company nor endorsed by them. However, we've been working with different Fortune 500 companies for close to 30 years or so, helping employees transition to retirement. A lot of our advisors are focused on just a few different companies, so it gives them detailed information on your specific company plans, whether it be the pension, the 401k, healthcare, retiree medical, life insurance, everything that you kind of need to know as you transition to retirement. So we can be on your side to help you understand all those different options and help you avoid a lot of mistakes we see and let you walk out the door with maximizing as much as you can get from your company. Now, we have offices throughout the country, so rest assured if you need to sit down with one of us face-to-face, we can probably still accommodate that, but obviously this day and age, it's very easy to have web meetings, phone call, email, whatever your preferred communication method is, just let us know. At the end of the day, if there's one thing you take us up on, it's to run our complementary cash flow analysis. This is actually a detailed financial plan which is specific to you and your company policies or company plans. So you can weigh the different pros and cons as far as when do you want to retire, should you work later, could you retire earlier, how do you want to take the pension, a lump sum, an annuity, how do you want to handle the 401k. We go through all those different options with you, and we can run multiple scenarios so you know the best option for you, not just now, but how it plays out in the next 10, 20, 30 years as well, for not just yourself, but you and your family and your legacy. So again, any interest or any questions in doing that, just give us a call. We can dig into that, and that will obviously uncover more questions to dig into for you as well. So let's go through some of these different questions that we've been getting here recently. First one, I keep hearing benefits of the Secure Act 2.0. If I'm retiring this year, does this help me with retirement? Okay, so yes and no. Somebody who's transitioned to retirement right now, it's not going to be as beneficial as somebody who maybe has more years ahead of them. So let me kind of give you a quick maybe review of what's coming out. We had the Secure Act come out December 2019, which went into effect 2020. That made some different changes. Some of the significant changes, some of the good ones were pushing the RMD age, which is the required minimum distribution age, from 70 and a half out to 72. So what that means is that's the age where the IRS comes knocking on the door, says, hey, you have to start taking withdrawals from your 401k or IRA or whatever tax-deferred vehicle you have so we can start taxing you on it. So that was a benefit change there. Another bad change was they did away with the stretch IRA option, so that if you passed away and your non-spouse beneficiary, let's say kids typically, got your IRA, they had to get that paid out within 10 years. So it kind of speeds up the timeline of forcing that to come out. Secure Act 2.0 did a lot of different things. One of the things it did change, which kind of correlates to maybe somebody retiring this year, is it's pushing back that RMD age once again from 72 to 73. So you don't have to turn on your RMD until 73. If we fast forward, I think it's in 2033, they're bumping it again to age 75. So that gives you an extra year or so of potential tax deferral, another year for Roth conversion strategies to look at. So different ways we work with our clients to help mitigate the taxes and minimize that for not just yourself, but also your legacy and your beneficiaries. So that's one benefit there. A lot of the other benefits more are geared towards savings. So there's bumping up of the catch-up contributions. There's some additional catch-up contributions for different age categories. There's the ability to actually do Roth contributions have the companies do Roth contributions for your match. There's also a different change where you've got more flexibility to access the 401k, but again, if you're retiring, that's not really a benefit to you. But for those of you who are farther away from retirement, there's different ways to now get into that 401k or IRA without the 10% penalty. Different items like if it's a natural disaster or maybe you're a victim of domestic abuse, things like that. Those are some other options. There also is another unique feature where if you've got a 529 plan, maybe you set up for yourself or for a kid or a grandkid, and you don't use that, you have the ability to roll that over to a Roth IRA up to a maximum limit. I think it's 35,000 at this point. And so a lot of these things are kind of in the process still because it just came out at the end of December. And there's also a benefit. Actually, here's one. If you are retiring, the question is, are you fully retiring? We got a lot of individuals we work with that retire and then go on and do something else and do some part-time work or consulting. A big change that could benefit you is used to be if you set up a SEP IRA, which is self-employed pension IRA or simple IRA, you only had the tax deferred option. Now they're going to change that so you have a Roth option. So let's say you decide to retire and you go back and consult, you get 1099 income or you do something on the side that earns you income. Instead of just the Roth IRA limits or IRA limits, you can have now a SEP IRA and contribute up to 25% of your income and do it either on a pre-tax basis, which is what it used to be, or on a Roth basis as well. So there's some different things there, but ultimately the best thing is to, if you're at retirement right now or transition to retirement, give us a call and dig into your one-on-one situation and see how some of these things play out and run that cash flow analysis and see how it actually affects you personally. We can get into some of those different questions as well. And we've got another webinar on the Secure 2.0 coming up, so we'll get that out to you as well. So another question, I'm worried about my 401k. What investments could also grow along with inflation? Okay, this is something we've been talking to individuals about for the last year and a half or so. So some of this is a little bit behind us, but it still makes sense going forward because we're still in that inflationary environment and potentially a recession. We'll kind of see how things play out, whether we're in one or not. But ultimately speaking, a lot of the things that can benefit you for inflation is going shorter on the yield curve if you're talking about bonds. Maybe using TIPS, Treasury Inflation Protected Securities, looking at commodities, focus on energy companies, and looking at potentially precious metals, gold, silver, things like that are good inflation hedges. Real estate tends to be an inflationary hedge. It's a little bit different this year because, again, we're coming off the pandemic and there's some different nuances there, but real estate tends to usually be a good inflationary hedge. And then things to avoid would obviously be, the growth stocks. That's what we saw got hammered last year. The retirement group, we tend to focus more on value companies. Those are companies that have been around for a long time. They tend to pay a pretty good dividend. They've got cash on hand to weather the storms. That's another aspect as far as inflationary hedge. It's not going to eliminate the losses you see from the market, but it's going to soften those losses because those companies are not out there trying to continue to borrow at higher interest rates to fuel the growth of the company. They're the ones actually probably lending money out now because they've got cash on hand. So those are some different areas to focus on. And unfortunately, depending upon where you are, you may have limitations in your 401k versus if you have an IRA. There's a lot more flexibility there and options to look at on that side. But with 401k, it could be, we've got some companies we work with that have as few as 7 fund options and others that have a lot more choices. So just give us a call. We can run through a portfolio analysis and show you exactly where you are and give you some suggested changes, whether it be within the 401k or outside the 401k as well. Another question, what ways can I plan for the rise in healthcare costs? So this is one that's always been something that's hopefully should be front of mind the last decade or so. We've seen how much things have gone up, and obviously inflation's reared its ugly head this last year, but the inflation on healthcare costs has always been skyrocketing for the last decade or so. There was a study came out, I think last year from Fidelity Investments that now it's an average couple, at age 65 retiring, is going to need about $300,000 to $315,000 just to cover medical expenses. That covers, Medicare premiums, out of pocket, everything going forward. So again, something that you do need to plan for, and the earlier you can plan, the better. Different ways of planning for that is really kind of knowing your situation. Obviously, if you're retiring before 65, you're not going to be Medicare eligible, so you need to look at different options as far as, okay, what are my company plan options? Do I have retiree medical? Do I have to go out there and look at the healthcare exchange and get an Affordable Care Act policy? Should it be that, or should I look at an indemnity plan, which may be a little bit cheaper, but there's some limitations there? Is my spouse still working? Can I get on his or her plan? What are those different options? Do I have COBRA if I don't have retiree medical. So a lot of those different things to kind of review on a one-on-one basis, really. Another aspect is, are you taking advantage of a health savings account? Can you get some of that money while you're still working set aside to cover some of those expenses in retirement? And then obviously once you get to that point of 65, there's still some more planning around Medicare because you've got Part A and then you've got premiums for Part B and Part D, and those can actually go up depending upon your income look back the IRS uses the last 2 years. So we do a lot of Roth conversion strategies for individuals, and we have to kind of counterbalance it with that, because if you have a year where you've got extra income, your premiums on Part B and Part D could go higher. Or do you want to look at a Medicare Advantage plan that kind of wraps everything together? Do you need Medigap to cover some of the things that Medicare doesn't necessarily cover? So there's a lot of different things to be aware of, but ultimately speaking, the other one is to be healthy, or kind of focus on your health if you would. But depending upon how long you have before retirement and how much planning time frame you have, we can talk about those options. What we do a lot of times in that cash flow analysis I mentioned as well is we can separate out those items. So we have individuals retiring, let's say at 63, and we factor in there, okay, we've got higher healthcare costs for age 63, 64, and then once 65 kicks in, Medicare kicks in, it's going to lower those costs. We go through all those different strategies with you. So if you've got any specific questions, just give us a call. We can go through that with you. One more here, and we'll get this wrapped up. How can I adjust my portfolio to prepare for a recession? Okay, this kind of piggybacks what we talked about with the inflationary environment. Some of those same things are still beneficial. You want to be careful on bonds as recessions kind of set in. That usually means interest rates are higher. So again, a lot of times short on the yield curve, looking at Treasury inflation protected securities. Now, the argument right now is, are we already in the recession? And at what point do we come out of that once the Fed slows down or stops raising interest rates? They've at least kind of reduced the amount they've been raising them at this point. We're coming off of a year, the worst year we've kind of seen in the bond market because how quickly they raised interest rates. So generally speaking, we go back to the 30s, almost every time we've seen a negative year in the bond market, we came roaring back, with the exception of a couple of years in the 70s. But generally speaking, you want to be careful on some of the bonds. You want to avoid the high yield and things of that nature, longer maturities. But we may see a rebound there because if inflation kind of settles down, there may be a flight to that because of the income it's producing now because of the higher interest rates. Again, you want to be careful about risky assets. Again, the growth companies that are borrowing money in order to fuel their growth. Again, stick with the value companies we talked about before. Don't be afraid to sit in cash. I mean, cash is not what it used to be, where you got nothing or almost negative in some cases. At this point, we clear through Charles Schwab. So if you're working with us and doing an IRA or something like that, we've got some money market options that are paying over 4% right now. You can get into shorter term 6-month CDs over 4% right now. If you're in a 401k, you might have a stable value fund or something like that that probably pays similar. So don't be afraid to hold some of that short term as well. But really the best way to look at this is, again, a one-on-one basis. Give us a call. We can look at your portfolio because, like I said, I can give you suggestions, but you may not have options if you're in your 401k. You may only have a few choices, but we can let you know how to allocate for those choices and let you know if you have an option one rollover, where a lot of times companies give you the ability to roll over a portion of your 401k into an IRA. So you have more flexibility and can get the guidance of a company like the Retirement Group, or do it on your own, whichever you prefer. But we can definitely dig into those, run that portfolio analysis, like I said, show you how it will react. We can also run scenario tests to show you how it would react under inflationary environments, or if we had another recession like 2007 to 2009, go through all those different scenarios. So again, ultimately, all these questions, we're just kind of give you some high-level information, but drilling down on a one-on-one basis is the best way to kind of dig into this and make sure that you get your questions answered. So if we didn't go through something that you wanted to get covered and you have some more questions, you can go ahead and reach us at 1-800-900-5867. I'll leave this QR code up here and this link up here. You can get in touch with us that way, or go ahead and scan that QR code. Whether you want to give us a call and follow up with us on your questions, dig into your company's specific plans, run that cash flow analysis, or if you want to follow us on our LinkedIn pages, you can do that as well. So we give you updates on interest rates, how they're affecting pension calculations, different company plan changes, things like that. But again, like I said, we have been working with a lot of companies for close to 30 years or so. That gives us a lot of ability to understand your company plans inside and out, but that does not mean we're endorsed by them or we're employed by them. But any questions you have, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give us a call. 1-800-900-5867. Thank you very much, and we hope you have a great day.